Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim Matthews. Sorry, not the Powerful Man Matthews. Gentlemen, today is going to be a special podcast. Tim and I are actually going to be recording a training that is geared for men going into Valentine's Day on how to plan the perfect date night. Now, however, this podcast episode is coming out after Valentine's Day and is going to be just as applicable on Valentine's Day as it is in March, as it is in November and December, and every day in between. So guys, I'm going to encourage you to not only listen to this, but to take some notes and also go onto YouTube to make sure you can see the slides that have been put together. So without further ado, let's jump into that training.
Let's do it. So I'm just going to... Awesome. So this training really all about planning the perfect date night. Now, when we were asked by the men in the community to do this, at first there was questions of, where do I go, right? What restaurant do I pick? What clothes do I wear? Should I do it on a weekday or a weekend? How would it work? What's best? And, this training isn't going to be as restrictive as that because, you guys know what your wife likes, right? You guys know what your relationship is like. This training instead is going to be a lot more about how you set the scene on the date night and how you show up as the man, if you will, and absolutely crush the date night so that she's asking you, hey, when's the next date night? So I don't know whether you guys, what you guys experience with date night, but I know for me in the past, I used to put so much effort into answering the kind of questions that I mentioned a moment ago, and I'm curious to hear your take on this, Doug, in a minute. And so much hope would go into date night, right? It was like the one night of the week where I was like, right, tonight is the night. I'm gonna get lucky. I'm gonna put so much effort in. I'm gonna get my favorite aftershave on, and I was expecting to get home and as it shows you on this slide, for this to just be happening, right? Ravishment, surrender from her, all because I've taken her to our quote unquote favorite restaurant. But instead of getting that, I kind of got this. Like, not again. Like, I'm like, why? Even though I've put in all this effort, I've gone to all this extra effort to even call up the restaurant beforehand and get the favorite table by the window, make sure she's got one of her favorite dishes in, and buy some new clothes. Why after all the effort, never even to talk about the effort I go to in providing and working out and all that stuff, why is she falling asleep? Why is she on a phone? Why are we in separate rooms? And I really didn't know how to control that to a degree. I'm curious, Doug. Have you ever had, I can't imagine you have, but have you ever had a similar experience?
Yeah, I think every man has, right? You plan this, you got this expectation in your head of what date night's going to be, especially, if that is your special time to have great sex, right? If that's what your expectation is. And for some guys out there, they haven't had sex in a while, or they're only having sex once a week on date night, maybe. And so that expectation gets a little higher. And Tim, you throw kids in the mix and being tired and everything else that goes along with that. That's where some of the stressors from those expectations of date night can really mount.
Yeah, you raise a great point. And that's one thing we'll cover as well during this training. So the question then is, how do you get her to go from dreading date night to maybe when you bring it up and you can just see her mood shift and she's like, to actually dreaming of date night and actually been looking forward to date night? Well, we're going to cover 3 steps, 3 things that you can apply immediately. And the first thing is to give her some pre-warning. Now, Mo Parks, one of the advisors on the team, she actually goes into this in some great depth on the podcast, the balance between being Mr. Dependable versus Mr. Unpredictable. So we're going to touch on it now, but again, that's also a great podcast for you guys to go and check out. It's episode 471. But in terms of giving her some pre-warning, the reason why this is important is because depending on where you are in your relationship, the level of trust that you guys have, whether you have made promises and broken them, whether, like you said a moment ago, Doug, you have put a lot of obligation onto date night and a lot of pressure onto date night, you're going to want to give us some pre-warning that something's coming, right? Because it helps to create a sense of emotional safety and also then by default prevent recoil from her. Because if she doesn't know what's coming and the foundation isn't very strong, she's likely to either give more resistance, which may show up as we like to call it in the form of a shit test, to which you're either going to pass or fail. And there may not be just one shit test, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, all at once or in the days leading up or whatever, right? So you just want to give a little bit of pre-warning to create the safety and prevent recoil. But the key here is you don't give away the game. You don't tell her you don't give her the entire playbook of what's going to happen because you want to reserve a bit of that, which we'll get to in a moment. But the thing that this does as well, when you give her the pre-warning, is it projects the confidence from you, right? Hey, I've thought about you. Hey, I've got this as well, right? And at the same time, like I said a moment ago, it then creates trust. Now, here's the wording or an example of the wording that you can use. Now, obviously, you're going to want to tailor this for your relationship, your partner. But it might go something a little like this. Hey, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. I know it might feel a little weird or awkward, but I just want you to be open to trying stuff. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. No big deal. There's no pressure, right? Let's say you've arranged to go dancing or whatever. It's something different, but you don't want to give away the details. This just lets her feel like she can stay connected to you and that you've got it. And like I said, you've taken into account her feelings and where she's at. Doug, anything you want to add with this? Because I know you're great with taking the lead in this way and doing this.
Yeah. Well, so when I do it, one of the things my wife will consistently say is, for the pre-warning portion and making sure that she knows a little bit what to expect, but not everything, so she can look and feel sexy, right? So sometimes usually it means what to wear, right? And sometimes I'll just tell her what to wear. Hey, go ahead and grab a long dress, or make sure you're wearing some athletic clothing because we're gonna do something active. And so I'll give her that pre-frame so she can be in a state where she's comfortable and a state where she's going to feel good on the date and she knows it. Because one of the things that women are going to be worried about here, guys, depending on how active your dates are or how adventurous you can get, is she doesn't want to put on a dress that makes her look sexy and shoes she can't walk. And then all of a sudden you show up someplace and you're doing some kind of activity, whatever it may be. Maybe it's axe throwing or something along those lines. And it's inappropriate what she's wearing or what she's doing, right? That's going to make her feel extremely uncomfortable. And therefore she's just not going to trust you to be leading her properly in that environment, right? And what to expect.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Like I said, podcast episode 471 dives into this a bit deeper. And I think the interesting, a point to really drive home here is you've got to know your partner as well. Like, depending on the relationship you have and who she is and vice versa, that'll depend on what you get to say or do to put her at ease, right? Because different women are going to feel different degrees of ease in general. So however you go about doing that, just bear in mind the philosophy of this, right? It's kind of like setting the scene. It's kind of in business, if you will. It's kind of like sending out the agenda kind of ahead of time without it being completely filled out. So number 2, let's say you've given us some pre-warning. She knows that there's going to be a date happening this Friday, right? You've told her what to wear. The next thing is then to play with her imagination, right? You've got 5 days. Let's say it's Monday. You're going on a date on Friday. You want to then play with her imagination in the build-up, right? One of the keys to this is that you get to take the lead. Now, I'm going to share with you a message that I sent Amelia. Now, by no means am I saying that I am perfect. There's ways I could probably have done this better, but the point is taking the lead, right? So I was wanting to arrange to go away with on a date with Amelia. So obviously I thought about, okay, what can we do? What's going to be a bit fun? What's going to be a bit exciting? What's going to be a bit different? And every time I go to the barbers, he keeps telling me about Liverpool. Oh, you've got to go to Liverpool. I've never been. Neither has Amelia. Like, Liverpool, really? Like, and it's been saying it 3, 4, 5 times. Like, right, okay, let me check this out. So I said to him, look, if I was to go out in Liverpool, this is the kind of experience I want to have. What would you recommend? He said, oh, well, go do this, go do that, go do the other. So I checked it out. Like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks fun. Is this like ghetto golf experience he was describing in like kind of semi-darkness, DJs, crazy golf, some other stuff. It looks fun. So as you guys may or may not know, we have dogs, and it's kind of difficult sometimes to get them taken care of. And if we're going to go overnight in Liverpool, we're not going to take them with us. So anyway, point being is figured it all out, took the lead, and then sent the message across to Amelia. To which she said, sounds good. I was probably expecting a slightly different response. But sounds good. So anyway, the point is play with the imagination. So take the lead, and at the same time, by taking the lead and, within that context, that text, I gave her some framework, right? Hey, we're going to go here. It's going to be this date. We're going to do this particular thing. After that, we don't really know what we're going to do. We're going to stay in this particular area. So, we'll make our mind up when we get there or whatever it is, right? In the lead up, what you could do, right, from the Monday to the Friday, assuming I'd sent this on the Monday, you can do other little things to stoke that fire and create the mystery, because the reality is mystery creates desire. That's why when the guys come into the alpha reset, the activation method, and they implement the alpha rise and shine, and they start changing their behavior, oftentimes the partners are like, ooh, what's going on over there? Ooh, something's different. Oh, it's that spark, that hit of the shift in the guy's habits, starting to work out, starting to do a few other things, that creates the peak in the curiosity. So you get to do this as well leading up to the date night. For example, if I wouldn't have told Amelia that we were going to go to this ghetto golf thing, maybe in the lead up, on Wednesday, I might have got her something that relates to crazy golf, right? Just for her to be like, oh, what's this? Oh, you'll find out Friday. However you want to do it, to just continue to create the mystery and build the anticipation in the lead up to the dates. Before I go any further, I want to bring you in on this one at this point. Thoughts?
Yeah. I'm a much bigger fan, guys, of the not telling her where you're going or what you're doing, and just telling her what to pack and what to bring. And I love your idea, like you said to him, of getting her a little something. I think you call it crazy golf. Getting her something related to the crazy golf, just to be like, what the heck am I getting? I don't know, I've never done crazy golf, but glow in the dark golf balls or whatever it may be that aligns with it. What I've found time and time again, what my wife is most interested in or concerned about is what to pack, right? Is she going to have all the stuff that she needs? And then there's some times where I'll say, just like you did, hey, we're going to Liverpool, we're going to do golf, and then we have some other stuff that's interesting. Is there, and I may even say, are there things that you want to do while we're wanted to do in Liverpool? Because my wife also likes to do research. She really likes looking at places. She enjoys finding that kind of stuff, which really isn't my specialty, so to speak. But what I have found to always be the best for date nights, especially special date nights, you don't do this all the time. But it could be something like, hey, we're going out on Thursday. I want you to dress warm, right? Because we're going to be outside. And maybe I'll take her to an outdoor concert, right? And there'll be wine and et cetera. And I'll have everything. I'll just have chairs packed or whatever it is, depending on that. So that things will be taken care of. Maybe there's another couple meeting us. So she's prepped enough. And then there's just mystery that she's along for the ride, and she is in my frame, in my world, and she's having a great time in my frame.
Yeah, it's a great point. And back to the beginning, it also depends on where you're at in your relationship, guys, as well. Because if your wife doesn't really trust you, let's say it's fractious, she's probably going to want a little bit more information. So you got to be able to strike that balance between, okay, taking the lead and creating a framework, if you will, whereby you're not giving the entire thing away, but you can just give her enough. So again, you got some great examples here from what Doug shared to the other one. Make it relevant for your situation. So it's the third thing here of playing with her imagination is injecting fun and excitement, right? Be it on the date, be it in the lead up to the date, doing something that actually creates that fun and excitement. Franco, one of the head coaches in the program, he produced something for the men all around text game. And it's great. It's a really great way between times. Obviously, we're not saying have deep, meaningful conversations via text, but it's a great way in the meantime to actually just stoke that fire. Be it the crazy golf example. Maybe you buy the glow in the dark golf ball, for example, like Doug was saying. Or maybe you even send some video that you've seen via text, or just something, right, to inject a little bit of lightheartedness, a little bit of fun. And maybe it's not even anything to do with the date night, right? Part of the whole text game idea is that you actually just have a little bit of fun, excitement, like I was saying, via text, whereby you remind her of that playful, cocky, confident side of yourself. Because even that enough, if she's looking at you in that light through the messages that you're sending her, she's going to take that energy into the date night, providing you continue to do it consistently. And again, it's a great way to just get her going from dreading the date night to actually, like we said, dreaming of it. Because imagine if you were to do this, guys, consistently, maybe twice a month, right? Maybe even once a month. Imagine the impact of that over 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. Now, by the time you get to that 10-month mark, it's like, wow, what's date night going to be like this time? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? The imagination goes wild, which for a woman, you want her in her body. You want her in her imagination, because it's from there that a lot of the sensuality and sexuality is going to come out.
Yeah. And guys, I realize that most of you guys listening to this right now aren't in that place in your marriage, right? Your marriage, is more like a roommate with a ring. It's not exactly where you want it to be. And I get that. I totally get it, because mine was there too. And that's what leads me to this journey. But fast forward to talk about what Tim's talking about with doing these things that we're teaching in the activation method and then on to the brotherhood consistently. When you're doing these consistently, fast forward to date nights now, I mean, you can get a lot more risque with this, right? You could possibly say, hey, we're going away to Liverpool for the weekend. It's going to be a car ride. I want you to wear this vibrator and I have the remote control. Now, most of you guys aren't in there, but we have a lot of guys who've been through the program that are, right? And you can play fun with that, right? And she's going to be, depending on where you guys are with your sexuality, everybody's in a different place. There's no judgment on my end. But we have guys that have gone from brink of divorce to now carrying around a remote or an app on their phone. I have one where it controls a vibrator that their wife might be wearing, right? And the wife was previously thought of as being prudish or very conservative. But when the man has showed up in this consistent way that we're talking about on date nights and other things, the woman has opened up like a flower, and they're finding out, whoa, she's into a lot more stuff when she's in her feminine spirit than I ever thought she would be. And again, you're not there today. I get it. But this is where this roadmap can lead you, but it's got to be consistency. That's a key here, guys. Once she gets to trust you, you're injecting the fun and excitement. It doesn't have to be your wife wearing a vibrator, right? Or anything along those lines, but you get where we're going with this. And I just want to future pace this, because as things progress into intimacy and other things that go on with your relationship, all right, it gets to this level, but it starts with these smaller steps, doing them consistently and following the process of the triadic connection, which is taught in the activation method, and adding these things together.
Yeah, it's a great point. And at the same time, spotting those little moments of opportunity as well. Like, for example, again, just share something because it was recent. Amelia sends me this picture of one of our ads, right? I don't start saying to her, hey, how come you're seeing that? You're a woman. Doug, the marketing, I thought we market into women now as well on Facebook. Like, is it? I thought it was just men. Like, what? Instead, just be that playful, cocky, just have fun with it. right? Versus going into, say something that's going to feed the imagination. Because again, point being is, if you change a mood, you'll change your if you change a mood, you'll change your mind. If you put it the right way around. But the point I'm making there is get her into a body with it, get her into an imagination, and a mood is going to shift, right? And there's all these ways that you get to do this. And look, guys, you get to do this even when you don't have a date night planned. Because guess what? Especially with this one, the playing with the imagination, and even taking a lead, to be fair. Guess what? When you do this, even when you don't have a date night planned, it becomes even easier to plan the date night because you have little moments of intimacy throughout the relationship, the day, the week, right? And that could just be how she looks at you a little bit different, right? Because you're reminding her of that fun and exciting version of you that she first met, right? Maybe it's that like you've been a little bit playfully cocky, right? It just totally shifts the dynamic of the relationship and the house and so on. Anything you want to add before we move on to the third point?
Okay. Yeah, I definitely do. So, especially you guys that out there with kids, young kids, or people in the house, it gets busy, right? You and your wife are going through your day to day. You got to take the trash out on Tuesday. Billy's got to go to soccer practice on Wednesday, and Marsha's got to go to swim lessons. You're running around day to day. So if date night's Thursday, just throwing it out there, it's a common one that most of our guys do Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, one of those 3 days typically. Monday's around, Marsha's got to go to swimming, Billy's got to go to soccer, whatever. You can, things are hectic and your wife's stressed. You can see her melting and you're a little stressed. Lean over to her, whisper in her ear, just go, I can't wait till Thursday. Oh, I love you. Something simple as that and playful. Now you can do what I do. I like a smack on the ass. My wife likes it too, right? And I can get a little playful. I might nibble on her ear, her neck, just like a quick thing that, the kids don't necessarily have to see, but they can. My kids are young, right? My 2-year-old walks by my wife and slaps her on the butt sometimes now because she's so used to me doing it, right? But my kids are seeing my wife and I be affectionate throughout the week. And that's a better patterning than most of us saw as kids. And you're going to use this to spice up date night, right? So when your wife comes in, she's stressed out. If your wife's working or whatever it is, and she's just like, oh, I'm just so tired. The kids are overwhelming, or this is too much, or whatever it could be. Pull her in and be like, baby, Thursday is going to be so much fun, right? As Tim was saying, you're building anticipation, right? This is like the trailer to the movie. You're building anticipation for what's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a time where she's going to dip into her feminine energy because you are the lighthouse. You are the alpha and you are leading the way for her.
I love that, which leads to the next point, the third one, of removing covert contracts of obligation. So I'll get on to what that is in a moment. Why do you take your wife on a date, right? You guys listening to this, watching at YouTube, in the community, whatever. Think about this for a second. Why do you take your wife on a date? Like, honestly, really, like, why do you do it? For some of you, I imagine it might be to get laid, right? Totally fair, totally valid. In fact, for most of you, quite honestly, I imagine it's so you can enjoy what comes afterwards. Again, get it, valid. The thing with this is, or the potential issue with this often is, what happens when you don't get laid after date night, right? If you set up the expectation, women are not stupid. They sense where we're at, right? If you're going into the date night, then a little bit too hot because you're placing all your eggs in this one basket of date night, and then once it happens afterwards, then yes, right? So therefore, you're steamrolling into date night, acting a little bit out of the ordinary. She senses something's a bit off. It's like, do you think that helps her to feel safe and relaxed with you? Or do you think it has her put a guard up? Oh, I know what's coming. I know what's happening next, right? What these are examples of covert contracts of obligation. So basically, a covert contract is something that you would get into whereby it's not spoken, right? Idea being, I take you on date night, you have sex with me. You don't want to be in that place because, one, covert contract, two, obligation. your wife then begins to associate date night with the feeling of being obligated to have sex with you. Not desiring or wanting to have sex with you, but feeling obligated. And we've literally had it where guys have come to us and joined the activation method because one of the things that created distance between them and the wife was this scenario, right? And the wife would then have sex with the guy out of obligation, and it was lifeless. And it actually created more distance between them sexually because he didn't want to have that kind of experience with her again. She also didn't want to have it with him again. And, all of this emotion was created around date night. The time in the week, to Doug's point, where it's like, oh, babe, wait for Thursday. I can't wait. The time in the week where you guys get to connect and have fun and excitement and lightness, right? So what if you actually controlled the frame? What I mean by frame is there's always going to be someone leading the frame in any endeavor, relationship, business, whatever. And one frame will always collapse into the other, right? The strongest frame, if you will, is going to win. So let's say you send her that first text, give her a little bit of detail, or maybe let's say you don't give her any detail, to Doug's point, just what to wear. And she comes back and she's wanting to know what's going on. At that point, she's trying to take control of the frame. You've presented a frame, hey, do this. She's come back with something, wanting to take control. If you then tell her everything that she wants to know, guess who's got control of the frame? She has, right? Now, again, I'm not saying don't respond to her and give her answers. What I'm saying is understand your relationship and the trust between you guys so you understand what to say in the beginning and, where to go with it. But the point I'm making here is, what if you controlled the frame? What if you were able to have sex on your terms, right? And part of this, and this is a mindset that a lot of the men are really embodying, which I think is awesome, is the idea that you are the prize. I am the prize. Like, if we have sex tonight, that's because I've chosen to have sex. Now, she may initiate it, and, that's fine, right? And at the same time, the idea that you are the prize and you're going to enjoy your time out and you're going to stoke that fire and that imagination and you're going to treat yourself like the prize as well. So you're going to be, imagine if you were single. It's kind of that mentality oftentimes when you're single. We've spoken about SMV in the past. If you're single, how are you going to go on the date? Chances are you're going to have good, fresh clothes, be it clean on you. Chances are your shoes or your trainers or whatever it is are going to look good. You're going to be clean shaven. You're going to maybe have been to the barbers, maybe not. You're going to smell good. You're going to be rocking up like you are the prize, right? And you get to take that same mindset, regardless of the different thing with the smelling and the clothes and all that stuff. But the mindset of you are the prize, you're going to take that into the date night. And by default, what happens when the guys do this is they care a little less, which might sound a bit counterintuitive, but they begin to care a little bit less, that the confidence they exude by playing with the idea that, hey, I'm the prize here. She's lucky to go out on this date night with me, Same with the sex and controlling the frame. If you take sex off the table for the date night, right, at least in your own mind, but you still do all, you still play and remain flirtatious and you stoke that fire, but without any idea of actually going any further, again, she'll feel that from you. There won't be any pressure to the situation. You'll lean in just enough to maybe, like Doug said, nibble her ear, give her a kiss on her neck, maybe a few kisses on her neck. She feels the passion and the intensity, and you pull away and you stop. And you just walk off and you go to the bar or you go, whatever you do, right? And it's kind of like the idea of just being playfully cocky, just playing in that energy of that sexuality and sensuality. And it builds tension at the end of the day. It builds sexual tension as well. And again, to Doug's point before, consistency, right? Imagine you doing this for, again, I'll just say one date night a month for 8, 9, 10 months. And let's say you didn't place any pressure on sex during those first 2, 3 times. By the time the 4th, 5th, 6th time, she's going to be coming to you because that tension is going to be created, that enjoyment. And that's part of what will be associated with date night. Hence, she'll go from dreading date night to dreaming about date night. Again, like I said a moment ago, what if in your mind at least you took sex off the table? Doug, I know you've got a lot to you want to share on this removing the covert contracts of obligation and the points I've made there. So I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I think all your points are very valid. One thing that I can see that I know has happened with me and I see happen with a lot of the guys that we work with is guys will go out and they'll plan the date night with doing something their wife wants to do. Right. So I'm just going to make it up. Maybe it's going to see a play, a musical, the ballet, something like that, that the guy's not really interested in, but wow, she's going to really like it. And they fall back into this nice guy trap, right? Rather than being really the leader. And so what I'm going to recommend you do here, guys, with date nights, especially if your relationship's struggling a little bit, right? Maybe it's a little stale, or maybe it's really, there's a chasm between you and your wife at this point, is do something you want to do, right? Make sure that whatever you plan for date night is something that you're going to have fun. And the analogy I like to use here, Tim, is it's like if you're the host of a party. If you ever go to a party, and we've all been to a lot of them. I've been to parties where, there's 5-course meals, it's catered, you have fine china out there, the chef is in the kitchen, it's a gourmet chef, and the party host is stressed out of their mind, and it's just not enjoyable, right? I mean, amazing food and all, great company, but it's just not enjoyable because the party host is stressed. Whereas at the flip side, I've been to places where people just ordered pizza and you're sitting on the carpet and everybody's laughing. The host is just having a great time. There's beer in the fridge, no big deal. Those are enjoyable. Why? Because the host, the person who is the leader of the party, so to speak, is having fun. If they're having fun, you don't need it. You can sit on the carpet and enjoy yourself. You can have pizza and enjoy yourself because the environment, the frame is fun. So you guys get to control the frame, as we stated several times earlier. Now it's got to be fun for you too. Because if you go out and you're exhausted because you've had a hard day at work, you're tired, and then you're going to go do something your wife wants to do that you don't really give a shit about, it's going to be a miserable time for both of you guys. You're both going to leave that environment tired. And then if you're going to try to make a move on her, not going to happen, guys, or it's going to be out of obligation. However, there's a good chance your wife's also going to be tired sometimes on these date nights and she's got stuff going on. But if you're having fun, you're jovial, you're playful and cocky like Tim was talking about, her energy will rise to meet yours in a lot of ways. And she is going to want to absorb into you, right? And I think it's also important on top of that to remember that there are going to be times where your wife is just going to have a bad day, right? She's human, just like you are. And so if you're going out on date night and she's having a bad day, call it out. Make a joke about it and be like, look, babe, I know you're not feeling it right now. Do you want to just go somewhere else? Do you want to do, we can do that. And just call it what it is. Call the elephant in the room and eliminate it. Chances are she's going to say no if she's having fun and if you're having a good time. So own that frame. Like Tim said, you are the prize. Investing in yourself is something we always talk about, but invest in yourself with your time. And date night is your date too. It's not just her date, it's your date. And I think a lot of us guys forget that. So I'm going to highly, highly recommend you guys as you're planning this perfect date night, you're doing all these things that have been listed here in these slides, but you're also going to make sure that whatever is planned, like crazy golf, I know Tim is going to love, right? It's going to be a lot of fun for him. Probably not Amelia's first pick, right? If she was planning date night, but she's going to have a blast because Tim is having fun and Tim is making it a fun time and a fun experience for her. And that's what you get to do, guys, whether it's crazy golf, whether it's a concert, whether it's just finding some place in your hometown that you can take your wife that's doing something that you want to do and that you can bring her into.
Yeah, great point. So how do you get her to go from dreading date night to dreaming of date night? By now, hopefully you guys can answer that question. If you have any questions about anything that we have covered, feel free to either post a question into one of the free communities, either over on Facebook or if you're within the movement over on Workplace, or if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to drop a comment below and we'll get back to you. Doug, thank you for being here with this. You've added a lot of value as always. And back over to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate you putting this together, Tim. And guys, I can't, most of us all know that we should be doing date night. We all know that it should be something that we should be doing, and we don't because we overcomplicate it. Things come up. But if you follow these steps that are outlined here, you are all but guaranteed an amazing experience. And remember, if my experience of you is that I am going to always argue, then I'm coming into this interaction preparing for an argument. However, if my experience of you is that we are going to have fun when we go out together, every time I see you, I'm going to associate you with fun, even in the dark places. So date night is your opportunity, guys. It's our opportunity as men to showcase that we are the lighthouse, that we are the alpha, right? We are the wolf. We're wise, open, loving, fierce, right? Wolf. We are the wolf in the relationship, and we can have fun, right? Open and loving, right? We can have that fun, and we can take our woman, our queen, whatever we want to call her, and we can take her on this journey with us as we lead like the lighthouse it is. So, gentlemen, as always, in the moment of insight, take massive action. We're in your corner, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.